It's the only match in the USL Championship tonight. Loudoun United is welcoming Charleston Battery, two sides with unbecoming records at Segra Field in Leesburg, Virginia. Tonight's telecast is presented by Segra. So glad you're along for the ride. Mike Watts joined by the former Manchester United goalkeeper Gary Bailey. 3 games played for one, 4 for the other. The problem is neither team have really gotten the results you'd anticipate.
They haven't, and the problem is they're in a very, very difficult group, that Eastern Atlantic group. I mean, chuck in, Tampa and Pittsburgh and Charleston, Miami, and only 4 can go through. So you don't want to fall too far behind. Both conceded way too many, and as you can see, not enough clean sheets at the back. So they've got it wrong at both ends of the pitch so far. It is early days, but a win for either side absolutely vital tonight.
Both sides really trying to get the defense right. If Loudoun's to do that, they'll need to slow Zico Lewis, who's been good for Charleston now for a long time.
Oh, he certainly has. If you look at his 50 appearances for the Battery, 15 goals. That's a really decent return. Spent 2018 in Iceland, where he played 15 games and got 3 goals. So experienced soccer abroad as well. He brings that back home. And you want to keep him as far away from your goalkeeper as you possibly can if you're Loudoun.
Meanwhile, for Loudoun, Logan Pancho grabbed his first goal last time out in the 3-2 loss to Pittsburgh.
Beautiful strike, isn't it? Gets right through the ball. A lovely setup from Giovanni Bolivar. But he does the hard work and gets it past the goalkeeper into the back of the net.
Logan Pancho saying after that game, amazing to score the goal, but quickly turned to the idea that progress as a team, turning that into results and keeping that dogged determination to win more games. Logan Pancho in just his 5th professional appearance tonight under Jeremy Gunn, a national champion at Stanford, was all league in the Pac-12. They love his versatility, a second-round pick of DC United this year with a brother also playing professionally at Union Omaha. So Loudoun United and Charleston Battery are the only game in town tonight, and in the championship, a big game in the Atlantic Division in the cellar. Lineups and kickoff when we return.
Download the new Loudoun United app to stay up to date during the 2021 season. Receive team news, roster updates, ticket specials, contests, and more delivered directly to your device.
This is business today. Fast, unpredictable, always changing. Shifting trends and technologies are pushing aside old rules. The unexpected is the new normal. At Segra, we'll help you navigate a complex future with state-of-the-art voice, internet, and data protection solutions. We know you have dreams, and we see your potential. Segra, freedom to grow.
If you were injured tomorrow, the ER may not be your best option. At Ortho Virginia, we can treat urgent orthopedic injuries without an appointment and diagnose non-urgent injuries virtually through video visits. Take the first step toward recovery, because stronger starts here.
Welcome back to Leesburg, Virginia. Nabil Ben Salah is leading the referees and the players out onto Segra Field. Tonight's telecast is presented by Segra. Loudoun United taking on Charleston Battery. Mike Watts, Gary Bailey. Tonight's starting lineups are brought to you by Loudoun Economic Development. For Charleston, they were supposed to play against LA Galaxy 2 over the weekend. That game ultimately rained out. So here's the starting 11. They've made 4 changes.
Yep, 4 changes from the team that drew 2-2 at home to New York Red Bulls. In defense, you can see that Van Schaik has come in for McHugh. And then up front, you have the likes of Daly, Fazera, Kaustis in the middle. Adesoden's come in. Looking forward to seeing him play. And Farling is out. AJ Patterson's on international duty, so Ben DeRosa comes in there at left back. 4-3-3, more or less, we think they will set up.
Meanwhile, that's a 3-4-3 for Loudoun United. Garay patrols the midfield. 4 changes in this group. Paz comes in from Mustafa, who's away on international duty with Niger.
Yeah, Nicky Downs is in, Jacob Green and Di Pietro, Di Pietro come in, Hasso, Akwe and Mustafa, and as you mentioned, and Bolivar are the ones who go to the bench. That might be good news for Charleston Battery. Bolivar's been in great form and Mustafa is so quick. So, you know, will Di Pietro and Paz cause as much trouble to Charleston tonight? Well, we'll find out.
Giovanni Bolivar is available. We were told that his second COVID shot came with some after effects that have lingered a bit, so he may be available about 30 minutes on the day. Keegan Meyer will start in goal for Loudoun United. This is his first start in the USL Championship. You see Kuzminski there for Charleston. He's been around the block a few more times, made a couple of big saves down the stretch to preserve a draw 2-2 against New York Red Bulls 2 last time out. It wouldn't be a broadcast with Gary Bailey if I didn't mention the goalkeepers early.
Absolutely. Most important player on a team, isn't it?
And the most underappreciated, chronically.
Hey, that I do know. But massive match tonight for both these teams. They can't stay near the bottom if they want to have aspirations to get into the playoffs later this season.
For Kuzminski, 9 starts a year ago, coming in from the Israeli Premier League where he was initially sent on loan. May have his hands full today. 2 sides that are intent on improving their defensive form. 2 sides that acknowledge that offensively they can do a bit more. Loudoun looks for their second win, which would surpass last year's total. Charleston looks for their first. We are underway. It's the only game on this Tuesday night in the USL Championship. Loudoun United hosting Charleston Battery. Green kicked that away. Rolled wide. Paz. Di Pietro. Gary, there's no sad violin playing for Charleston, the fact that they got Friday night off. But the plan was 3 games in a week, and you ultimately have to adjust, as this picked up by Kuzminski, to the idea that now you don't need to maybe rotate as much. But Mike Anhauser told us he still wanted to give opportunities to players that would likely have seen the field on Friday regardless.
Yeah, they didn't get to play, so now is their chance. And you want to keep them fit. You want to keep them mentally up to speed. And that's what he said was the big challenge. Obviously, they hadn't played, so physically there was no problem. He said, but mentally, traveling, not playing, coming back, so they have to get cracking straight away. And to be fair, I know we're a minute in, but these yellow and black shirts are running everywhere, so it looks like they are making up for all that energy that wasn't spent on Friday night.
And there's something to be said, Gary, for the fact that when you play a team like Loudoun, there's that youthful naivety. Sometimes that energy can just pour out. If you don't come ready to go, you find yourself down a goal pretty early if you think your professionalism will carry the day. Perez for DeRosa. Jabel Perez again. Green got a piece.
Yeah, just looking forward to seeing how this Loudoun team plays. They're very, very good in attack, but clearly they need to be a bit more tight at the back and not concede as many goals. Last time out was they were 2-0 down. They were actually against Pittsburgh. They were 2-0 down before they even got going. And that's something that I'm sure Coach Ryan Martin's going to try and avoid tonight.
Ryan Martin told us the first half subpar, but really pleased with how they responded. Felt that first half against Pittsburgh was really the only truly bad half of soccer they've played this year.
Yeah, and he said it could easily be 3-1 as it could be 1 win, 3 losses. But you get judged on results at the end of the day. That's why this is such a pressure game. One player who did shine on that night was Bolivar. He's not here tonight.
Pass finding Green, and Kuzminski. Bit awkward the way that bounced up on him, able to get it over the end line, corner.
Does the job the goalkeeper. Doesn't matter how you save it, you need to save it. And that was a really good chance there. Gets his body behind it. And a good run from Jacob Green to get into that box.
"90 minutes played this year for Green. And this is appearance number 18 for the 18-year-old from Maryland. Corner Loudoun in the 4th minute to the near post. This will come out. And Pancho was seeking his 2nd goal in as many games, off the mark.
Yes, memories of that goal in the last match. That beautiful strike from the edge of the box. Not quite the same. Maybe he's missing Bolivar up front to set him up in the last game.
Tonight's injury report is brought to you by Ortho Virginia, the official sports medicine partner of Loudoun United FC. Loudoun did not specifically report any injuries. However, Gamble is out tonight. Nico Rittmeyer dealing with an Achilles. Mauro Cicero, a knee injury for Charleston.
Yeah, we're just talking about Bolivar and what a big miss he is tonight as well for Loudoun. Goal and an assist against Pittsburgh in that 3-2 home loss.
Green, decent hold-up play, and there's an argument there from Sergi.
We're just looking at that table and seeing how low Charleston are. Well, they can't get any lower. They're sitting at the bottom. But, I mean, they only have played 3 games. And we were chatting off air about the fact that Mike Anhauser's made the playoffs for the last 13 years. I mean, that's an incredible record. But then my counter was, well, they don't count those years. They're done. And I'm sure Mike would be the first to say, hey, I'm moving on. The danger for Charleston, if they don't win tonight, even a draw leaves them potentially sort of 7-8 points behind a playoff spot.
Attack getting forward. Ball sliced through, and Charleston's left 4 in the attacking third. They'll back this up nicely. If you get 2 wins here out of these 2 theoretical games in hand, you think 8 points, you're 1 beneath the playoff line. But I'm sure every coach on the planet would rather have points in reality rather than in theory.
Well, this is a tough game. Isn't Charleston's next game Tampa away? A team that's won 5 out of 6.
Yeah.
And they've won all 4 at home. So I'm not so sure you can say those points are in the bag. And that's the problem I see for Charleston, is that, you know, then they've got the likes of Miami coming up, and then there's Charlotte down the line, and, you know, Hartford are playing really well. So it is possible you find yourself so far behind that you can't catch up. But having said that, they were such a good team last year, and they've got such a good coach. You somehow think they'll find a way.
I beg your pardon, Loudoun will get Tampa Bay next. Charleston will host New York Red Bulls 2 for the 3rd time in 5 games.
And who do they play afterwards? Is it Miami?
Indeed, Miami, and then away to Charlotte.
That's it. Miami, Charlotte. Those are tough matches. And then the same for Loudoun. Loudoun have got Tampa away, apologies. But then if they lose here today, they're way behind. So this is a critical match. And for all those who are in the neutral seats, should be an exciting one.
Coup de Pietro. Green had to hold the run. Now isolates with DeRosa. Green seemed fairly confident that that was offside. He was.
And it was left as well. And in the leaving of the ball, the assumption is there won't be a whistle.
See Ryan Martin there, 3rd year as the Loudoun manager. And, you know, Gary, we always enjoy talking to Ryan Martin. He is such an open book about what the intention is. And this week even saying, yes, we want more shutouts, but our ethos is attacking, and sometimes that leaves you open.
Yeah, good fun to talk to him, and but it does worry me a little bit if you're too over attacking, because in teaching young players, and there's a whole bunch of young players here, you've got to teach them defense and attack. And he was very quick to admit that, yeah, we're attacking, but they also need to learn how to defend at times. And you know, oh, good ball,
excellent ball forward, and Sergi. Bit of hand fighting. This will be a throw for Loudoun.
But if you actually look, they've got older players in defense, Loudoun. De Shields 23, Mel 25, Dambrot 26. It's the youngsters who come in midfield. So maybe they are very subtly, you know, making sure that they are tighter at the back while keeping that sort of youthful midfield.
It's possible we should be giving DC United some credit for this. When you think about the academy products, this deflects towards Sergi and DeRosa under pressure from Paz. Oftentimes we see a struggle to find creativity in midfield out of young American players coming through the academy system. It seems like Loudoun has that coming through in spades with Garay, and you certainly see Green working off the left-hand side today. Should be an exciting watch.
Yeah, you mentioned Garay, tied 7th in the USL with 12 chances created. Well, if you're playing in a team that's struggling near the bottom and you're right near the top in terms of chances created, then yeah, I think you're right. He does look a really good talent, 18 years of age, and they need him to kick on from here. They need him to improve, grow in strength, and playing against older, stronger players like the likes of Robbie Crawford. What a good background he's gotten. Ade Soden, Kelly. These are all good, strong players for Jeremy Garay to play up against and improve against.
This will take a deflection toward Downs. Crowd oohs and ahs, bodies hitting the ground. Adesoden went in there alongside Gadula. It's a free kick for Loudoun on what seemed fairly promising at first for Charleston. Mike Annhauser, 18 years as the manager, but with the franchise long before that. Got to Loudoun a couple of days ago. Got a chance to speak to him before he made his way out into Loudoun County.
Yeah, also a great character to talk to. And of course, someone who's achieved so much in the game. And when he says, look, don't worry, it's still early days, you say, yep, okay, coach, I get you. But don't let it run too long, though.
Dambrot, curling ball over the penalty area. Pinballs around. And Charleston can work the other way through Gadula. Handled by Mel. Bit of contact. Referee had a good look at that. Bensala allows play to continue, and Garay springs this wide.
Nice control here by Loudoun. He's comfortable on the ball, getting some nice movement, switching it right to left, making Charleston work. Charleston, for their part, dropping right back into that final third, denying space and letting Loudoun have it round about the halfway line.
Finally, Loudoun break through. Green, free kick. Green stepping by.
He's quick, isn't he, Green? He's always a threat, and I think it was Angelo Kelly there, a little bit too tight on him. What do? You're worried that he might go past you, he might cause a few problems. Just 18 years of age as well, another fantastic talent coming through at Loudoun. Then they've got Coup de Pietro, a year older, at 19, on the ball, giving advice, fatherly advice.
He used to wear that jersey when he wore a younger man's clothes.
Yeah, good one.
It'll be Garay or Coup de Pietro here. Kuzminski is going to be looking toward the sun, setting behind the stands. Bouncing ball. Sits up nicely. Green for Garay. Coup de Pietro by Perez toward the end line. Stabbed back toward Garay.
Lovely skills there from Coup de Pietro, a little bit Messi-esque.
Really good concept till Kelly took it away. And Kelly is stuck in again. This will find Darluis Paz. Paz into the penalty area, the cutback ball. Chance for Downs to recover. Chips forward and out of play. Or will it? Yes. Okay, that select ball took a heck of a turn.
I think he was looking for Paz at the far post. Lovely run by Paz. Absolutely brilliant. There's Kuda Pietro a little bit earlier. Great little nuts. Look at this run. And then he's... Well, anyway, we've just jumped on a little bit, but it was Paz who was in the box coming back from an offside position. That's why he couldn't challenge for the cross.
Green won this high up the field. The return here to Green. Kelly. Well, it seems both sides are committed to decent technical skill on the day. Nicu Daly to ground and a quick restart. Crawford. DeRosa.
This is where Crawford is needed in this game. All his experience in the past playing for Glasgow Rangers, which is a massive, massive club to play for. You have to be a really, really decent player at 28 years of age. This is the age for him to be dominating these matches, and I'm sure Mike Anhauser, who I know rates Robbie Crawford very highly, has probably had a little word in his ear and said, come on, this is time for you to shine.
15th minute, scoreless in Loudoun County. Since 1947, Select has been the leader in soccer ball quality and innovation. Select is the official ball supplier of the USL Championship and many of the elite leagues throughout Europe. For the latest Select products and special offers, visit selectsportamerica.com. You excited about the Euros? Speaking of elite leagues in Europe?
As long as England do well, I'll be happy. They've never won the Euros.
No guarantees.
No, with England there never is.
Rolled back here to Kuzminski. Some exciting talent in that England team.
Yeah, there always is. England's got major talent. It's just putting it together in a way that can win tournaments. Came close last time around to the semis in the World Cup, so things are looking up for England. And Harry Kane up front is just a magnificent player.
Another good year with more questions about where next year will be.
That's true with most teams. I'm sure it's true with Loudoun as well. They change a lot of players every year, so you wonder how they improve. I think Charleston, on the other hand, have kept the majority of their players. That's always an easier thing to do, is to build on top of what you have as opposed to replace it.
Paz here, trying to break down one of the few newcomers to this Charleston side. DeRosa coming in, a draft pick of NYCFC. The opening night lineup for Charleston featured exclusively players with 10 or more starts a year ago in that pandemic-shortened 16-game regular season. Except for the goalkeeper, Kuzminski, who was on loan to start the year in Israel.
And that's why it was such a shock when they got beat 3-0 at home by
Charlotte, yeah.
By Charlotte, sorry, yeah. 3-0 at home in a place where I think they hadn't lost for 14 games or something, and you were expecting that they drew away against New York Red Bulls, Charleston in their first match. It was Charleston coming home. Charlotte coming home, and you're expecting a win. They got beat 3-0, and they got well beat, and then end up drawing a game with New York Red Bulls, who, as we can see, I saw earlier, struggling in the table. So it has been a worrying start for Charleston. So much more expected after the first game, and nothing going right for them as yet, which is why it doesn't matter how they win this. I think if you're a Charleston Battery fan, you're saying just get the points on the board, do the job, and let's build from there. We don't need to play pretty football today, but we do need to win.
Kelly, chip this wide, belongs to Loudoun. And you asked both these coaches truthfully about the expected goals versus where you are now, and perhaps with time those numbers will close down, but right now they indicate a lack of finishing.
Well, they certainly do for Loudoun. On the ball here, they've been expected to score 7.32 goals, they only scored 5. So 2.32 below your expected at this stage of the stadium is quite a lot. And on the other side as well, it's Charleston's been expected to score 4.17, only scored 3. That's worrying for coaches because it means you're getting in goal-scoring positions, but you're not hitting the back of the net, and that's really what the game's all about.
Downs rolls this through. Chance for Dambrot to fire the service. That'll careen over the crossbar. Paz getting a chance to start for the first time this season, the 19-year-old Venezuelan.
It's a good effort down that left-hand side. Lovely ball in, and you know, it's not that far over. It's come very quickly to Paz, the 19-year-old. And that's good play, getting into the danger area there, Robbie Damrot. Getting a decent ball across for the strike. Just giving your strikers something to work with. Yes, it goes over. I think it's a little bit of a warning there to Charleston. There could be plenty more of this to come.
Paz was in the first division in Venezuela at a 16-year-old, 3 years ago now. Got about a dozen games in Venezuela. And they're really excited about a bit of a prodigious winger they might be able to develop.
Was playing for Deportivo La Guardia in Venezuela. Played 4 times for the Venezuelan under-17 U17 team. That's a decent achievement. So lots of exciting players here for Loudoun. Just can Ryan Martin bring them all together, mold them into a team, into one unit?
Coup de Pietro here. Second-year pro. Perez couldn't maintain it, but Crawford laid out wide by Archer. He's been around the Trinidad and Tobago program the past year or so. Trinidad and Tobago being eliminated from World Cup qualifying. Bit of a sigh of relief, I'm sure, from American fans, all while watching the U.S. knock off Mexico in the Nations League final.
What a game. What a save by the keeper at the end. That's every goalkeeper's dream, to win a final with a penalty save like that.
And to come off the bench as well as Ethan Horvath did.
It was full of, had everything that game. It was absolutely brilliant to watch. But most importantly, had a win for the States, because historically, I think most Mexico fans would say, yeah, the States are always playing second fiddle to us. Well, they didn't the other night. And now you start to look at Pulisic and company and Serginho Dest and all of these players playing at an incredibly high level and say, wow, maybe the power has switched from Mexico to the USA.
Jabel Perez here. Will race toward the end line. Did swing a cross in. Q Daly among those at the top of the 6.
22-year-old from Cuba, Jabel Perez, looking to make a name for himself.
Eviel Cordovez, Ozzy Alonso, Michael Chang. Cuba has been a tremendous breeding ground for future Charleston battery products, all coming to the United States under difficult circumstances and finding a professional home in South Carolina.
Being forced back to their goal here. Charleston, in fact, talking to Mike Anhauser about the strength of Loudoun, he did say that they've got this young side that has energy. They do keep possession very well, and they press with the ball, and you're seeing that press right now. Look at this. They're making it difficult to play out from the back.
That heavy touch rolls back to Kuzminski. Archer might have a bit of trouble here. Get a second bite of the apple.
Yeah, again, good pressure from the team in white. And Mike Anhauser is saying, don't forget, the last 30 minutes or so, they had Pittsburgh on the ropes, and Pittsburgh are a decent side. So I don't think there's any doubt here in Charleston Battery's mind that they're in for a tough match today.
And sometimes it's the little things. The turf surface itself here seems to be popping up a fair number of pellets. Something that I've heard from coaches in multiple leagues that have visited Segra Field. It's a good surface, but one that plays a little bit differently. Coup de Pietro. That was vital from Archer. You never played on turf when you were...
Yeah, we did actually. Back in the day, Queen's Park Rangers and Loudoun both had turf pitches. But I don't think the technology was like it is today. When the ball bounced on that thing, it bounced out the stadium.
Is that the old AstroTurf?
Yes, AstroTurf.
Carpet
correct.
over concrete?
Exactly what it was. I had to put about 3 pairs of trousers, what you call them, tracksuit pants.
Sure.
Yeah, because if you take one dive on that stuff, you leave half your skin behind. It's a bit of a neutral game so far, isn't it? Sort of, you know, Ryan Martin's team there doing well, but not being able to break past Charleston, and Charleston likewise haven't created that much. So it's sort of waiting for one team to do something magic to get past the other.
Bit of a collision there. This will get out of play, belong to Green. The USL is committed to supporting the LGBTQ plus community through the Forever Proud Project. The USL will strive as this skies up. More on that in a moment. Kuzminski will pull this down. The USL striving to create safe, welcoming environments for all fans, players, employees, and partners. You can learn more at uslsoccer.com/forever-proud.
I think there was a little moment there where Sergei was through one-on-one against Kuzminski. It didn't quite sit down for him, but it's getting difficult for Charleston to play out the back. Look at this, giving the ball away.
Green bounces off DeRosa. Just his 4th professional appearance, the 22-year-old from the Washington, D.C. area. Rolled ahead by Garay. Scooped up here by Kuzminski. DeRosa played at Bethesda SC as a youth, then went to the University of Maryland. Twin brother Matt was there too. Charleston had followed him during his time in the Big Ten. When he didn't make the cut at NYCFC, that was an early call to Ben DeRosa's agent, Mike Anhauser. Kelly. Perez made the space, and that may land outside Loudoun County.
Yeah, not the best there, I think, from Logan Gadula. At least he's willing to have a crack, and given that he's a defender, we can let him off the hook. But nice little bit of play by Charleston. First time they've sort of taken the ball in midfield, turned and gone at the defense and made things happen. That's what they need to do more of. Nice to see Angelo Kelly on the edge of the box as well. And bringing in Chabel Perez. And now it's a high press from Charleston to see if they can get some turnover ball.
50-50 ball. Kelly went in there. Ultimately, he's relieved not to get the brunt of that. Referee will allow this play to continue as well as Kudapitro's back to his feet.
I think that's a good shot for a free kick there, Charleston, but not given. Here's this high press and teams playing out from the back when it's a little bit risky.
Green is bowled over. When you think about the risk involved, in your mind, more often than not, is it more valuable to create the numerical advantage by trying to play through that, or do you miss the days of getting the ball out and maybe lessening the chance of a turnover deep in your own half?
Yeah, I think there's too many risks taken today, and I get that you want to retain possession and play out, but when goalkeepers are having to dribble around attackers and crazy moments like this, I'm like, no. Play it at the back, win this space and time. If there's not, just knock it long, and it's a 50-50 ball, win the ball. Nothing wrong with it, you know, your big center forward knocking the ball down and building from the opponent's half.
Paz was offside.
It's naughty from Paz. He's looking down the line. It's forgivable when you can't see the line, but when you're looking down it like that, you've got to time your run. Easy said than done, of course, sitting in a commentary booth, but nonetheless, if these players want to step up levels, if they want to be better players, then you have to limit the number of times you get caught offside.
You see Kuzminski there. At some point, Keegan Meyer on the other end is wondering when he's going to be brought into this game, but it's possible he's perfectly fine with a 0-shot performance from Charleston at this point. Nothing on target, at least.
I think all goalkeepers like to get a little bit involved somewhere, but certainly Kuzminski last week was involved last game against New York Red Bulls 2. Had a couple of crucial saves. They looked like they were cruising at 2-0 up, Charleston, and then they allowed New York Red Bulls to get to 2-2, and but for the goalkeeper, probably would have left with no points.
Coup de Petro. Offside flag certainly up. Is this a noted effort by Charleston to create that trap, or is Loudoun self-inflicting all these offside whistles in a row?
Look, certainly teams can push up and play you offside, but ultimately it's always self-inflicted because you can see the line. You have to, as a forward, read the line constantly. But, to be fair, if teams do it well and do it quickly, it's hard to spot it.
Pass this time. Did well to read Kelly. It's been pretty tricky on the ball. Garay.
Idea was good. It struck it well, but just a little bit too high. That's always the danger in trying to switch the point of attack. It takes a lot of skill to knock an accurate ball over 30, 40 yards, and you always run the risk of losing possession.
Timmy Mell there, captains the side on the night. Intercepted here by Downs. Downs rolling wide. Service will deflect straight back and out for a corner.
Good play from Loudoun. Overload on the right-hand side. They had numbers, they had bodies, just couldn't get the ball into the box, but the idea is good. Nice support from defense in the wide positions.
This corner is brought to you by Loudoun Economic Development, a team that is always in your corner. As we all know, Gary loves wordplay. It's a good tagline. Corner here for Loudoun. Diving effort to get a piece of this, and Kuzminski will claim it.
Well, that's what I love more, as a goalkeeper who dives on the ball and kills it. Nice and brave there, Kuzminski. I mean, 27 years of age with a season in Israel at a very decent level. You think he'd be the perfect sort of goalkeeper to lead Charleston to glory. It nearly happened last season. Eastern Conference Finals, losing to Tampa. Only a step away from taking on Phoenix Rising.
He's crossed now 70 professional starts for Charleston, going back to 2017 when he was the second choice goalkeeper. Time in Israel, that's a decent resume beginning to percolate.
It is, and if you add Van Schaik at 32, lots of experience in the center of defense.
Pass off the Kelly corner.
Well done, Kelly. Hard work, tracking back. So good. 28 years of age, Kelly, 28 years, Crawford, Zika Lewis, 27. So it's a team that Mike Anheuser's put together that has the experience and maturity to go on and win trophies.
Another corner kick brought to you by Loudoun Economic Development, a team that is always in your corner. Pancho. This bobbled a bit by Kuzminski, and he may have taken a knock above the shoulders. And the referee is going to stop play to go check on Kuzminski.
It looked like he was trying to catch it and got hit in the air, in which case it should be a free kick. Maybe it was just a hand in the face. Let's have a look. And again, referees don't get to see what we do, so they just call what they can see in a split second. Our keeper's called for it. Well, actually, the header is... I didn't see any contact with his head, but there certainly was a fair header for the ball. But goalkeepers today might not like the old days. You heard all the old goalkeepers say that, but in the old days you could literally clatter a keeper, whereas today you can't. And Kuzminski there, able to claim that he was interfered. Looks like he must have taken a finger in the eye or something.
Oh, he's bleeding.
You're right, he is bleeding.
He did seem to catch a laceration here. And it's tough to tell where exactly that happened. It wasn't head-to-head contact. It must have been a trailing arm.
Yeah, well, apologies there to Kuzminski. I didn't see anything, but clearly he took a hit, and I think that's the point Mike Anhauser's making. But again, to see it from the referee's perspective is they get one brief glance at something. I've seen it twice, and I still can't. Let's have a third time. Have a look. Yeah, well, difficult to see. And if we can't with the slow-mo, then what chance has the ref got? So an unfortunate clash, and we just hope that Joe will recover quickly there.
All of a sudden, the athletic trainer has become a corner man.
Yeah. There's the belief that goalkeepers are just rock hard and a bit thick, and I've been called many of those things in my time, and maybe with some validity. But Joe will bounce up, don't worry. But just put a Band-Aid on it and he'll be fine.
Loudoun and Charleston scoreless here 34 minutes in. How about this news? Mark Ingram II, who was playing with Baltimore, has now picked up a contract with the Houston Texans for the 2021 season, joining the DC United ownership group. So widening out the base a little bit in terms of celebrity ownership in Major League Soccer up in Philadelphia. Kevin Durant, and you know.
Well, soccer's growing, Mike, and I think these famous players from other sports want to feed off that. And it's good for soccer because that also then becomes more Americanized, so to speak. There's connections with, you know, American football, baseball, basketball, and so soccer starts to become a little bit more mainstream. It's a win-win, I would suggest.
Ingram, a three-time Pro Bowler in the NFL. Kuzminski's been patched up.
There you go. Told you, big, strong keeper. That's not going to bother him.
Gary, are you a Manchester United shareholder?
I was. And the new Glazers came along, they forced everyone to sell. So, but don't worry, I only had a few shares. I didn't have any influence.
The way you started to turn that around, I was thinking I was talking to the sporting director. Well, Kuzminski sporting a new headband here. And a painful laceration to his forehead, it appears, has been patched up. Scoreless in Loudoun County, the two bottom teams in the Atlantic Division, but neither are willing to concede that they're in any trouble yet. Both have games in hand. Ball steers forward. The offside flag is up against Sergei once more.
And just looking at the score, 0-0 doesn't help either of these sides. They both need 3 points. 1 point is just going to see them sort of rooted near that sort of foot of the table, and it's not how you get yourself up. 3-point wins are what get you up that table, and they're both obviously aware of this. The question is, can either of them do something about it?
Charleston last year lost a precious few number of games. 3 defeats, but they're the only team that beat Tampa Bay. They did that 3 times, but ultimately fell to them in the postseason. Another playoff season for the Charleston Battery. For Loudoun, on the other hand, they only won 1 game last season, didn't finish the campaign due to COVID-19 issues. Every team was scheduled to play 16. They ultimately only played 13 games. But Loudoun felt like they brought in a more veteran core to supplement some of the younger players, and said they very much turned the page on last year. Injured player down for Charleston.
Well, I certainly hope they have turned the page. They conceded 28 goals in just 13 matches last year and only scored 10 in 13. So they were very poor on both ends of the pitch. And they've started off this season conceding way too many, 7 in 4 as well. So no question improvement needed, but I think we started to see that under Ryan Martin here. I think we started to see a a more combative Loudoun, and that's exactly what's happening here, aren't they? They're getting stuck in, standing up for themselves. A little bit of a left elbow there. I think you could see at that time. Again, I don't think it was meant by the Shields, but certainly throws out that left elbow.
Adesodan makes his way off. The 23-year-old Nigerian played at the College of Charleston. Good crowd on hand tonight.
Yeah, I got to say, it's wonderful to see people back in the stands. It's been a tough year for, I think, mostly for the players playing in front of empty stadiums, because so much of your energy and your excitement comes from playing in front of a crowd, be it your own crowd or even an away crowd. But just tough for coaches to fire the players up and everyone. So welcome back the fans, and the more, the better.
Hold that here to Green. And trying to bounce through, whistle blows. Dambrot wins the free kick.
I think winning is the right word. I think Dambrot did sort of run into the defender a little bit, but hey, good on him. He wins the free kick either which way. Penderosa's now got to defend. And just have a look when he's on the ball. Dambrot sort of finds the shoulder and makes the connection. But hey, that's professionalism. And he's got himself a very, very valuable free kick just outside the box.
Pancho or Garay, this has been the tandem standing over free kicks. First set piece Kuzminski has had to deal with since that earlier laceration. Downs heads that into the penalty area. DeShield slips it through. This is swiped away. Kuzminski denying Dambrot.
That's a great save from Kuzminski. That came flying in from Dambrot there. Had pace behind it. And the goalkeeper manages to get it away from the danger area with some great reflexes.
Advantage played. Downs. Pancho. Pancho. Haven't seen much at all of Zico Lewis on the ball. He's the one pressing, and he's won the throw. Kuzminski with a little wave at this, huh?
He turned. It was good timing. Gets it away from trouble. Lovely little pass from DeShields. But look at the strength, the power behind that shot there from Dambrot. Goalkeeper, as you say, swats it away from danger. Let's give him confidence. Takes a knock on the head, gets all bandaged up, makes a good save. He'll feel great about the game.
Pinged forward. Green. Green curls the cross for Sergi. A true target forward inside the penalty area. This will deflect out. Corner Loudoun.
Good positive play on that left-hand side. Green is such a good outlet for them, Jacob Green, the youngster, the 18-year-old, got fantastic pace, whipped the ball in there near post, and Sergi just couldn't quite get his head on it. But that's something that Charleston will have to work on second half, is how to slow down Jacob Green.
Loudoun Economic Development corner kick. Away on Pancho's effort on the first time. Downs was looking to chip that back in. Instead, Garay. Garay, feathers, headed back. Pass.
Well, it was a brave effort. It wasn't on target, but loved to see that sort of skill and that sort of confidence to actually have a go. Good header back, by the way. Maybe could have played it down. There were a couple of white shirts just hovering around. Could he have played one of them in? In the end, he goes for glory and gets nowhere near.
Certainly would have sent a jolt through this crowd. It did a little bit as it was.
Yeah. Oh, it's a lovely part of the game. It's that sort of agility that very few players can do. You tried sort of kicking the ball above your head in a bicycle kick and landing without breaking your neck. You know, there's only a handful of players who can pull that off successfully. So it always sparks up the crowd when they see somebody try.
Slipped ahead, Green angling to keep that away, and Dambrot away from Perez. Closing in on halftime, is a very busy day Saturday in the Atlantic Division. We're going to cover all the action from the weekend and the fact that both these teams can be grateful that the group below the playoff line all dropped points. Opening the door for them a bit, Kuzminski will take this down.
That's been a solid half by Loudoun. Been impressed with them, given that they don't have the same age and experience as Charleston Battery do. And I think the onus very much on the visitors to get a win. Somehow I think the expectation of Loudoun and Ryan Martin getting to the playoffs is pretty small. It'd be a fantastic achievement if they could, but for Mike Anhauser and his team, then very much expected not only to get there, but to go very far. And so the onus on them second half to take it up a notch or two.
And you could make an argument, Loudoun's a win and 3 losses into the season. It wouldn't take much to imagine them having 2 more results at this point either. Floated ball.
But just to your point, in every one of those games they lost by only 1 goal.
Right.
So it wasn't like in any of them they got hammered or taken out or whatever the expression you want to use. They look a really solid team. And again, the maturity's in their defense, which is the right place to have it. When I say maturity, I mean early to mid-20s. The youngsters in the midfield and up front were just Sammy Sergai, 24. So it actually is quite a nice mixture, and a mixture good enough to go and beat teams like Charleston Battery.
And the good news for Loudoun, while they are missing Cairo Mustafa, who's away on international duty, you do have Giovanni Bolivar available off the bench, who's scored in his last 2 appearances. Received the second dose of the COVID vaccine and had a bit of a negative reaction to that. So unavailable to start, but the expectation is he should be available to some extent in the second half.
He's been on form, 1 goal, 1 assist last time out. What a good player he is, and that's a big threat to Charleston. Again, why Charleston need to get a lead, just in case Bolivar does come on.
Mel was the thief. This will roll all the way back to Leland Archer, who might just be the latest in a long line of truly great central defenders for Charleston. Seeing him pick up more time with Trinidad and Tobago, that's a big deal. Perez dances, now he curls. This will ricochet off of DeShields, lead to a corner. 3 minutes of first half stoppage time. It's brought to you by Ortho Virginia, the official sports medicine partner of Loudoun United FC.
A good run there from Perez, Jabel Perez. That's what you want. Run into the box, commit defenders, cut in one way or the other. He cuts in on his left foot, has a shot. It's always a chance of a deflection or sticking one in the top corner. Neither happened, but at least it shows a positive intent from Charleston Battery.
AJ Patterson is away with Grenada. He's one of the set piece targets at 6'2". Eric McHugh is available off the bench, the defender on loan from Houston, the 20-year-old Swede. He's proven to be a bit of a target as well for Charleston. So Crawford's got a differing array of players to aim for here. Lewis.
Yeah, I haven't seen enough of Lewis, have we? It's such a good player. Nick Daly the same. Those 2 players up front are the first 2 that my eyes went to when I saw the team lineup. I thought, oh, here comes trouble, Loudoun. Oh, they haven't made much of an impact yet.
Nick Daly was thrown away there.
I do get the sense that Coach Anheuser might just have a little word with both the strikers and say, I've got options on the bench. If you're not going to perform for me in the first 10 minutes of the second half, got the likes of Zaracostas, really good striker up front. We could bring him on, so I do expect him to light them up at halftime. Zico Lewis and Nick Daly.
The turn by Crawford. 1 more minute in this first half. Goal in stoppage time would really change the narrative. Ball swung in Perez general direction. That'll head over toward the Charleston substitutes.
It's needed a bit of quality into the box, didn't it? Good run, good effort, good build-up, everything fantastic. Final ball into the box, not good enough.
Well, I don't think Paz can really make an argument on this one.
No, but the argument is now the 5th or 6th time in the first half that either he or Sergei have been caught offside. It's part of your duties as a striker to keep yourself onside whenever possible.
Scoreless here at halftime, Gary, and neither side, I think, is going to walk away saying they played exactly the way they were hoping, but both sides wanted to keep a clean sheet tonight, and both sides are halfway there.
They're halfway there, but that team in yellow and black, they need a win. And especially if they're going to go far in the tournament, which they did last year, they need to improve it second half. Not enough from Zico Lewis, Nick Daly. Expect changes in the second half if they don't start to perform.
Our halftime show is presented by Segra, and it's coming up with a look at the Atlantic Division highlights from the weekend. Scoreless.
This is business today. Fast, unpredictable, always changing. Shifting trends and technologies are pushing aside old rules. The unexpected is the new normal. At Segra, we'll help you navigate a complex future with state-of-the-art voice, internet, and data protection solutions. We know you have dreams, and we see your potential. Segra, freedom to grow.
In the heart of DC's wine country lies a retreat and conference center like no other, where award-winning chefs create signature dishes using local farms, where the wine is poured just miles from the vines and the beer is brewed right next door, where challenge courses invigorate and meeting rooms inspire, where the welcome starts at check-in and continues throughout your stay. Like Loudoun United, the National Conference Center builds world-class teams in the place we all call home. Saddle up.
Welcome back to Loudoun County. Tonight's halftime presentation is brought to you by Segra. Loudoun United taking on Charleston Battery on a Tuesday night. Plenty of action over the weekend, however, to catch you up on around the Atlantic Division. Mike Watts, Gary Bailey. Charlotte taking on the undefeated, undrawn Tampa Bay Rowdies. No more. Irvin Parra fouled here. Is it much of a foul from Lasso?
Oh, 50-50. I'm not sure it is a penalty, but given, Lasso doesn't try and get out the way, but then he doesn't have to.
Junior Atu steps up, delivers. Charlotte knocks off the Rowdies.
Yeah, tipped onto the post, by the way. Look at the goalkeeper's reaction afterwards. He thought he made the save.
Certainly did. Hartford taking on New York Red Bulls 2. 7 Red Bulls players on MLS contracts in this game, which makes it all the more shocking that it finishes 7-0. Sebastian Elney, the former Red Bull.
Yeah, assist by Danny Barrera, and we're going to see another assist by him right here. So an impactful game he had on that particular night.
Juan Carlos Obregon Jr. delivers. Suddenly this was out of hand in first half stoppage time. But the goal of the night, Sports Center top 10 for sure. Connor McGlynn lobbing Anthony Marcucci.
Keeper so far off his line, he just can't get back. But, I mean, give Connor McGlynn credit. He's knocked out, 60 yards? And he's got it just under the crossbar in the middle of the goal.
Magnificent finish, 7-0 Hartford. They are still undefeated. Pittsburgh taking on Austin. Well, east-west action here. The goal would come in the first minute. You called this match. Okoli and Colin Fernandez combining.
They did combine nicely. Okoli lays up the ball here, but look how well Fernandez finishes. When you see it from behind, it's a great strike. It's in the first minute of the match, and Pittsburgh really didn't create enough problems after that.
Pittsburgh falls, and they're hanging right around that playoff line right now. We'll talk about that in a moment. Miami FC taking on RGV. The fighting Wilmer Cabreras away to South Florida. Elvis Amo scored 4 goals in each of the last 2 seasons for Loudoun, bagged 3 on the night.
Yeah, he's a monster of a player because he's big, he's strong, he's quick, he's got good finishing skills. So the first one is a brilliant header. This one, right foot round the goalkeeper using his pace. Fantastic night for Elvis Amo.
And Wilmer Cabrera, coming back to where he rejuvenated his coaching career in Rio Grande Valley, has seen this thing totally turn around year over year. This would be the ceiling finish from Amo. 4-2 RGV over Miami FC. And more points dropped in the Atlantic Division, which opens the door for both these sides, Gary. We talked about it in the open and throughout the first half. Charleston and Loudoun in the basement right now, but some results fell in their favor over the weekend.
Yeah, and you need those results to fall for you, because if you get too far behind those top teams, Tampa Bay, Charlotte, Miami FC, as you mentioned at the beginning, it becomes a real mountain to climb. So yeah, if those around you drop points, that even helps you climb that table.
So at minimum, 4 of the 5 teams at or below the playoff line will drop points in their most recent game by the time this one is over. Take a look at news and notes around the league when we return.
There again, second header. Here's a chance for Cicerone. Russell Cicerone, the leading goal scorer.
In the heart of DC's wine country lies a retreat and conference center like no other, where award-winning chefs create signature dishes using local farms, where the wine is poured just miles from the vines and the beer is brewed right next door, where challenge courses invigorate and meeting rooms inspire, where the welcome starts at check-in and continues throughout your stay. Like Loudoun United, the National Conference Center builds world-class teams in the place we all call home. Saddle up.
If you were injured tomorrow, the ER may not be your best option. At Ortho Virginia, we can treat urgent orthopedic injuries without an appointment and diagnose non-urgent injuries virtually through video visits. Take the first step toward recovery, because stronger starts here.
Download the new Loudoun United app to stay up to date during the 2021 season. Receive team news, roster updates, ticket specials, contests, and more delivered directly to your device.
Halftime is presented by Segra, and it's scoreless between Loudoun United and Charleston Battery as the lights are on at Segra Field. Mike Watson, Gary Bailey. Some news and notes from around the league. Forget around the league. There's a new league, USLW League. Go to USLWleague.com for more info. Notably, they announced 8 inaugural members of what should be at least 30 clubs taking part in that pre-professional pathway for women's soccer. Chattanooga, Greenville from USL League 1, South Georgia Tormenta as well, Minnesota Women's Soccer, Caw Valley of USL League 2, and from the championship, Hartford Athletic, the incoming Queensboro FC, and yes, Washington, D.C., led by D.C. United's ownership group, will join the USLW League. Pride Nights will continue around the USL Championship throughout Pride Month of June. More at USLchampionship.com. And Pittsburgh and Indy, that's not a tough one to get behind.
Well, Pittsburgh need to get some rhythm going. They're winning, then losing, and they're up and down. It's obviously not what they're used to there. And Pittsburgh, it's their home form that in particular has been the problem for the Riverhounds.
There's plenty of games coming up on USL on ESPN. Of course, Indy and Pittsburgh on ESPN Deportes on June the 15th. Miami and Birmingham on June the 23rd. And then a long stretch of games on ESPN2 in English in the U.S.
Yeah, Las Vegas Lights have got a couple of win under their belt. So they're changing because they struggled at the very, very start. New Mexico United looked good, and then they've dropped a few points, a chance to bounce back against San Antonio. They play twice there, on the 17th against Colorado Springs Switchbacks, then against New Mexico United. You can bounce up and down in the space of a couple of weeks here. By the way, San Diego Laws, how unlucky to go 2-0 up into the 90th minute against Phoenix Rising and end up drawing 2-2.
Sure, let's say it was luck. So that's what's coming up. USL on ESPN Linear. Plenty coming up this week on ESPN Plus as well. Halftime presented by Segra. Highlights from the first half coming up.
This is business today. Fast, unpredictable, always changing. Shifting trends and technologies are pushing aside old rules. The unexpected is the new normal. At Segra, we'll help you navigate a complex future with state-of-the-art voice, internet, and data protection solutions. We know you have dreams, and we see your potential. Segra, freedom to grow.
Welcome back to Leesburg in Loudoun County. Halftime is presented by Segra, and Loudoun and Charleston scoreless at the break. We know changes are coming. We'll show those to you in a moment. But first, highlights. First half highlights are presented by Segra. We start all the way back in the 3rd minute of play, and Loudoun United showing an inclination to get forward.
Yeah, Jacob Green just running inside, gets on the end here, gets a shot at the near post with his weaker right foot. And Kuzminski makes a decent save, but Jacob Green a threat throughout. Great pace down that left-hand side.
Skip ahead to the 18th minute, and again, Loudoun on the front foot. Getting to the end line, ball poured across. That's a bit high from Pass.
Yeah, Dambrot with the cross, very good cross. And yeah, it is a bit high, but again, threatening from Loudoun.
And in the 40th minute, chance off a set piece as this sort of found its way through DeShields. That's really clever.
It's a fantastic save as well from Kuzminski. Dambrot with the strike, you're right. DeShields, great little left flick here and puts in Dambrot. Keeper makes a really important save.
Dambrot heavily involved off this left-hand side in the opening half. Here are the halftime statistics. They are brought to you by Segra. Nothing on target yet from Charleston.
That's a problem. We spoke about it first half. At least Loudoun is looking like they're threatening. Done that left-hand side with Dambrot and Green. Very, very positive. In Charleston, they haven't had the possession, they haven't had shots on target. We haven't seen from players like Niku Daly and Zico Lewis, who are really, really good players on the ball. So, again, as mentioned, they need to make an improvement. Otherwise, they're going to get replaced by Zaracostas, you would think.
Meanwhile, we know Loudoun will make a change here out of halftime. Giovanni Bolivar is scheduled to come on here for Loudoun United. And that could really change the dynamic here. If you're this young goalkeeper out of High Point, Keegan Meyer, 3-year starter there. 2020 draft pick of the New England Revolution. First game in the USL Championship, and so far it's been a quiet one.
It's been a very quiet one. He hasn't been tested yet. Probably just checking those posts. Is this where I'm supposed to stand? There's that change, Bolivar. This is quite, I mean, by Ryan Martin, this is a very positive change to make. And I love that sort of thing. You don't wait till 65, 70 minutes at halftime. You go, you know what? Not performing. Off you go. And it was Sergei who gets taken off. I don't know if it was an injury or just didn't threaten enough. But this man, Bolivar, he is sharp. And we said how lucky Charleston Battery were that he didn't start. Well, now they're going to have to deal with him.
And now the operations team is going to have to deal with this. You were wondering there with Meyer. For what it's worth, the way Meyer just skipped away from something, you wonder if it's that cicada revolution that Ryan Martin told us about. Said, yeah. Coach, how you doing? On the phone this week, he said, just trying to avoid all the cicadas.
I think you're right. Something flew into his face, and he pushed it away there, the goalkeeper. But he'll be keen to get some work, Keegan Meyer. Ryan Martin might not want him to work too much, but you also want to see your goalkeeper in action. You're there to develop players, and can only develop if they get put under some sort of pressure. And he'll be keen to show his skills. So as long as the shots are from 20 yards and you can deal with them and not from 4 yards, I think Keegan Meyer will be happy.
We were told that Dave Casper, the president of soccer operations, has already been out to Segerfield this year, and that the DC United staff are interested in seeing what Keegan Meyer can do, that we may see a little more of a rotation between Forda and Meyer in front of that goal. Well, if I'm trying to move this, the first thing I'm doing is taking the sand off the back of it. But I think I'm not exactly being very helpful.
There might be a little slot that it has to sort of fall into, and they can't get it to go into that slot.
Yeah, it appears so.
That's an important time in the season for Charleston Battery. You really feel this is the half they have to kick on. They struggle here, then it's New York Red Bulls again, who they haven't beat, and then it's Miami who are in form, and then it's probably Tampa after that, and Charlotte, and it can go downhill so rapidly. And with all respect to Loudoun, they are a young midfield. You should be able to get at them, physically dominate them.
We're still waiting here. It appears there's an issue with the net itself. The USL Championship Team of the Week was announced. It's presented by Clear Audio. The Player of the Week wasn't too difficult to figure out in Elvis Amo.
Yeah, absolutely. A hat-trick, and a very good hat-trick as well. Danny Barrera above him, 2 assists. Obviously a massive input into that match. And we saw the header goal from Juan Carlos Obregon Jr. So yeah, well done to everybody who made the Team of the Week.
Obregon was part of the Honduran Olympic qualifying roster that knocked off the United States. And to your point about Barrera, I also had 2 goals and 1 assist against New York Red Bulls 2 on the weekend. Everybody did. 7-0.
Yeah, that's a bit of a thumping for New York Red Bulls.
It sure was. You can see here they're trying to tape the net itself to the post. The net is not entirely attached. For what it's worth, last year, soccer is non-existent for, gosh, about 3-4 months, right, with the COVID-19 pandemic. The second or third game back in the USL Championship, Orange County's playing host, empty venue, and the ball is slotted into the net so perfectly, and the net comes dislodged. The ball flies off the lip at the bottom back of the net and flies out of the stadium altogether. To which I exclaim, how could he possibly miss? He didn't miss. It was a good goal, yes. So there is something to be said for, at least for our sake, making sure that the net is properly attached. Well, Tommy Smith can't talk about a bulge in the old onion bag if
it's got a hole in it.
Indeed.
Well done to the referee and his staff for getting, spotting the problem, sorting it out, and time now to get on with the match.
Well, credit to the Segerfield staff for taking care of business there. And so we are able to continue with an intact net, one that's yet to be punctured. 0-0 in a big matchup in the Atlantic Division. Time for a Segra substitution. Giovanni Bolivar replaces Samson Sergi up front for Loudoun. It's Kelly. Graciously, the sun has begun to set in Loudoun County. And this is rolled out. We'll find Adesoden. Crawford. DeRosa. Adesoden. Chance to swing this across. And that's off the mark from Zico Lewis.
That's way off the mark from Zico, and he's normally better than that, but at least it's positive from Charleston, and I've no doubt they'll have a few words from Mike Anhauser ringing in their ears from half-time. And he needs more energy. He needs them to move that ball around quick. He needs them to attack more. And we saw a little bit of that in the first minute. Yep, shot is well off target, but the intention is there.
And you think about what Charleston does really well, and it's get their fullbacks upfield. It's a very immersive attacking experience. While they did speak about making sure they weren't caught with 7-8 in the attacking third and being placed into maybe a precarious position defensively, perhaps allowing as much possession as they did in the first half was in and of itself precarious.
It's always a balance in football against teams that are of a similar level to you. You know, you attack too much, you become vulnerable to the counter-attack. But if you don't attack, you don't score. So it's who manages that balance best. The first half, I thought Loudoun probably had the edge. But I get the sense already that Charleston know that this is a vital 45 minutes in their season. And they're sort of coming out firing here.
And for what it's worth, Ryan Martin did tell us he expected a counter-attacking Charleston side on the day. Pass. Watch out, Bolivar. Rolls this outside. Coup de Petro. Coup de Petro. Deflected away, and there's Perez.
Poor clearance. Straight into touch. If you keep it in play, at least Nick Udali's got something to fight for. Maybe gets a knockdown, you can start an attack. Those are the sort of quality moments that it'll be frustrating for Mike Anhauser.
Green. Downs. Archer. And that's a bit of an unforced error. Will be a corner for Loudoun.
That's another unforced error, back-to-back. So instead of being in there half attacking them, you're now defending a set piece.
Corner kick is brought to you by Loudoun Economic Development, a team that is always in your corner.
The referee just keeping an eye on all the pushing and shoving going on in the box.
Ball swung over. That's handled by Kuzminski.
I'm delighted to see the keeper caught that without getting poked in the face again.
And look at that distribution.
Great throw.
Gadula slips this ahead. Myers there. The offside flag again rears its head, this time for Charleston.
Nick Udali, but at least it's positive. This is much better from Charleston already. Yeah, again, the final quality may be not what's required, but the intention is good. And I think that, you know, players respond to that. Their confidence goes up when they can see others in their team creating opportunities.
Archer plays this out. Coup de Petro. Got the return ball and tries to dice through.
Yeah, there's too many bodies in the middle of that box there for Charleston Battery, and couldn't get through them all. But again, a nice positive approach. And I do appreciate that from both sides. Both sides are attempting to break through. They haven't got the breakthrough yet, but they are at least having a go.
Adesoden. The Eastern Conference takes center stage when the USL on ESPN continues on ESPN Deportes. Tuesday, June 15th, clash of Midwestern powers. Indy 11 look to continue their hot start, welcoming perennial playoff contenders Pittsburgh Riverhounds. Catch the pair of Beasts of the East on Tuesday night. Kickoff scheduled 8 p.m. Eastern on ESPN Deportes. Jesus Acosta and Jose Rodriguez always do such a good job on those games. Collision there. DeRosa shrugging off Green.
Yeah, both bounced up and play continues. I think we'll get more and more physicality in the second half as both teams try and get something out of this. And again, if you can use your bigger physicality that you assume Charleston have, and the more sort of professional games behind them, older players, you'd be a fool not to try and use that to push the game in your advantage.
And you can argue that for both teams, games played comes in. If you think about Loudoun, it's number of games you've played as a professional. If you're Charleston, you've only played 3 times. You're already in June, and you've only played 3 times. None of these players as professionals have had to deal with that. So both sides, you could argue, are dealing with a bit of maybe naivety at this point of the season.
Yeah, they've both got a whole set of challenges, but I think Charleston have the greater challenge in that they have to make the playoffs, which means you have to finish top 4 in a group with Tampa, Miami, Charlotte, a whole bunch, Hartford, a whole bunch of others, Pittsburgh. Whereas for Loudoun, you can always say, well, you know, we made some good players, we didn't make the playoffs, but you don't have that but if you're Charleston Battery.
And you get the feeling Ryan Martin certainly doesn't lean into that at all. The expectation in Loudoun is to play well, earn points. That's part of that process that they're trying to put together through the DC United system, which is growing quite the academy. Maryland, DC, and Virginia.
Well, again, they have some wonderful players on this pitch. I haven't seen enough of Jeremy Garay yet, bearing in mind that his stats, he's in the top 5 chances created in the whole of the USL. That's a team that's sitting second bottom, 12 chances created. So I'm looking at him going, well, where are you? I want to see you stamp your authority on the match.
Talked about wanting him to be a little more vocal in midfield. To be fair, I think he had 7 chances created against Miami, the season opener as well. This did just escape over the line.
Bit of an injury problem here. And that signal generally means I've got a problem.
Yeah, Paas pointing to his right leg. And Paas himself has seen a bit of time in the lineup. It's not like he's not a regular, but with Kairouan Mustafa away on international duty, and we're hearing he expects to be a starter tomorrow against the Congo.
For Niger, as they call them, not Nigeria, but Niger. Oh. So a look there, just maybe just a little bit of cramp. Yeah, didn't seem like there was a bump as much as cramp, and maybe he's just getting used to the humidity, the heat, the running. Yeah, they are. What they're saying, they've got to exchange him, but substitute him. But it is that sort of cramp maneuver when you get your foot bent back the other way. But just talking about Garay, a player that has that potential. DC United keeping an eye on him. Well, these are the games you want to see young players boss the game, show their extra talent and ability if they have it, and hopefully this is an opportunity for Garay.
Farron and Sharifi set to come on here. So indeed, Paas will come off. But Logan Pancho, the other substitute. So Sharifi and Bolivar will help lead the attack here, and Farron will come in as well. Subs are brought to you by Segra. There's going to be 3 changes. This poor 4th official. People think it's easy to throw numbers on that board. It's complex.
Well, it's easy in the first half.
Sharifi, some experience in New York. See Bunting, DZ Harmon, and Burke Failing set to come on. Trio of Charleston changes, but notably at this point, no Stavros Zarakostas.
I think we will see him at some stage, though, Zarakostas, especially if it stays at 0-0. He's such a good finisher. hit the post in that match against Charlotte after about 5 minutes. What a strike that was for those who watched that game.
So 3 changes for Charleston. That's their first window used, so they can use their final 2 subs as they see fit. Loudoun made 1 at halftime, so they didn't use a window there. They made 2 now, so they have 2 windows and 2 subs remaining. Would you like to see 5 subs remain?
I would. I think it gives coaches more option. And it also stops players from getting injuries. You've got more chance of substituting someone who's tiring towards the end of the game.
I think the 3 windows concept alleviated a lot of the concern that it was going to stymie the flow of a game, right?
Correct.
At some point, I'd argue if you can make the game better, why wouldn't you? And this bit of an unintended consequence of the COVID-19 pandemic, but one of the few things I'd like to see actually continue out of it.
Agreed, and that's what the introduction of VAR is about, making it a fairer, better game.
But did it?
I think it has, very much so. I mean, there's still controversy, but way less than there used to be. I think some people have selective memories, but we used to argue about everything. Now we argue about 1 or 2 issues. You're never going to get it 100% right all the time.
Hand of God?
Yeah, exactly. Don't remind me.
This will roll all the way down. I think the only person who really disagrees with our stance on this is the people who either A, the 4th official who have to welcome them all into the game, or the graphics folks who have to drop the bug. Although, who knows? Maybe for the 4th official, this is true job security.
This is it. This is his moment in the sun, and that's when the televisions are on him, the cameras rather.
Gets away from failing. Gadula threw in, and Failing will get a second look. Rolls to Gadula. High arcing service is caught in the first true intervention for Keegan Meyer. Silver Spring, Maryland native.
Good catch, good take, good timing. And bearing in mind he hasn't had much to do, I think he'll be quite happy with that.
Positive turn. Turned over to Failing. Gadula. Gary, have I told you that I'm a ardent time traveler?
Where is this going?
It's going somewhere good, I promise. Advantage played here. I can't tell you whether or not this leads to a goal, but what I can tell you is if you're on the road, can't watch the match, turn on Sirius XM FC, North America's only 24/7 source of soccer radio. Ray Hudson, Tony Miola, Rodney Marsh. The brand new USL All Access every Tuesday, 7 p.m. Eastern. Fans of the USL can now listen to the best matches of the week. Action from MLS, the Premier League, and UEFA Champions League. Sirius XM FC, channel 157, on your Sirius XM radio and the Sirius XM app. It turns out I was both here at 7 o'clock and also on Sirius XM FC. An interview with Betsy Haw, the Director of Operations for women's soccer at the USL, which made that landmark announcement, which DC United's ownership group is involved in. Mentioned that Mark Ingram's buying into the club, but conversely, of note, club is now part of the W League, which will launch in 2022. That whole interview, you were busy, of course, watching the game with us on the SiriusXM app. Later listening.
Well, good to hear you're on the radio, because you were the likes of Ray Hudson, who's always wonderful to listen to, and Rodney Marsh, what a legend he is, and Mike Watts.
That's a real sliding scale, isn't it?
I'm trying to give you a compliment here.
I can't take it. Can't accept it. I know it doesn't come from a good place.
Well, this game needs a goal. This is two teams that have put in a good shift, but there just hasn't been enough to trouble either goalkeeper. A couple of crosses for Keegan Meyer and Joe Kuzminski, but nothing really to give the goalkeepers a chance to dive across the box and make great saves.
Archer goes back to goal.
That's the hardest shot Kuzminski's had.
Brought down well by Jared Van Schaik. Club legend at this point. 8th season in Charleston. Well over 200 appearances, all competitions as a professional. Closing in on 200 for Charleston. This is picked up by Coup de Pietro. Coup de Pietro perhaps was trying to get that across. Bolivar gave chase. Bounces toward Failing to Shields. Crawford. Harmon. Play that out, and they'll go back to an injury here.
Could be early in the season as well. These teams have only had 3 or 4 games under their belt, and the preseason matches don't always help because you don't really make the same effort in preseason as you do in the proper games. And so we're seeing a lot of injuries early on, and that's why you have big squads. You'll need to rotate. Players got international duty. A whole lot of other reasons why you need to bring players off the bench and everyone play a crucial part. And there's that classic sort of rounding the wheel signal, which says we need to substitute. Of course, you've got the heat now as well to contend with. You know, when this first started 6-7 weeks ago, the weather was a lot milder, a lot easier to handle. Now you can see by the water being poured all over the bodies, they're sweating buckets, and that, yeah, you lose a lot of salt, and that obviously brings on cramp a lot more quickly.
Told it's 86 in the area right now, which if you add in the humidity that often comes with that in early June, it's going to have you several beverages in.
Yeah. And it is that stage of the match, that sort of 64th, 65th minute, where you really are tired now. Now you're digging into your extra reserves for the next 25 minutes or so. And that's when mistakes can be made, and where managers look to the more mature players, the fitter players, in some cases the younger players, to take advantage of this situation.
Patrick Hogan is set to come on, will replace Ben DeRosa. Patrick Hogan called it a dream to play professional soccer. Acknowledges the challenge that comes with playing in the championship. A Charlotte, North Carolina native. Played at UNC Charlotte. A Segra substitution comes in the 65th minute. And Patrick Hogan will make his professional debut tonight.
Oh, good luck to Patrick. Hope it goes well. If you want to be a hero, to get a winning goal today might work wonders.
Look at you throwing the expectation on a young man.
But I'm just trying to make it a great debut for him to score the winning goal. That's what you dream of when you're a kid. So, you know, sometimes it comes true.
Signed for the club about 2 weeks ago. It's turned over cheaply to DePietro. DePietro tries to get the return. Bolivar's in some kind of goal-scoring form. Tallied in the last 2 games.
That's a good effort from Bolivar. That's not too far off. And that's the difference this guy makes. He's direct. He will eventually work the goalkeeper. This is one of his first chances here. Have a look. Winds it up, hits it. Yeah, it's a little bit over the bar, but it had Kuzminski scrambling there for a moment. And that's what I like about Bolivar and why I felt it was such an advantage to Charleston to face Loudoun without him. Well, now that he's on the pitch, it's a different task in front of Charleston. I think even talking to Mike Anhauser, he also alluded to the fact that Bolivar was the one player they really needed to keep an eye on.
Back from Mel. Meyer.
Pietro brought down there, and is this the first yellow card?
Comes all the way in the 67th minute. It is.
It shows you what a clean game it has been. Let's have a look and see if it was warranted. Well, I don't think there was any malice there. Difficult one. Generally, to get a yellow, you have to go from a careless tackle to a reckless tackle. Borderline, but again, referees get a split second to see it, as Nabil Ben Salah did, and can't say he was wrong. And always give referees credit for having to make very, very quick decisions.
Green. See Kelly picks up the card. Bounced over toward Sharifi. Kelly, by the way, game 4 of the year. That is his second yellow card. Always thinking about those accumulation issues. Wasn't sure anyone was going to make the number last year in the shortened season to get suspended over yellow cards. I know for a fact I was wrong about that.
So who got it in the end?
I believe multiple players did, which is telling in and of itself. If you're Ryan Martin, how much are you changing at this point, if at all?
Well, you've already bought Bolivar on, you bought Sharifi on, you've bought Ferran on, made a number of changes. I think he'll be happy at 0-0. It's a very decent performance against a top-class Charleston Battery side.
Another foul. Game becoming a tad more choppy now, with 21 minutes and stoppage time to go. Pulled back by Garay. Mentioned Sharifi a moment ago. This is his club debut for Loudoun. 11 games last year in his first professional season for New York Red Bulls 2. Green was looking for Bolivar. That had snuck over. He was all alone.
Again, he brings a different sort of perspective to the game, Bolivar, doesn't he? He's a threat, he's a danger. He's someone for Loudoun to aim for, and someone that the Loudoun players are excited to have on the pitch. Just 19 years of age, Bolivar. It's always wonderful to see a talent like that, because you wonder what they could become. Whether they do it, obviously, is up to them, but you start to see possibilities, MLS and even Europe.
Kuzminski. Oh, crowd will ooh and ah at the effort. We talked a bit about being willing to go after those 50-50 balls, and without doubt, Dambrot did. Put himself into harm's way, won the free kick, and Loudoun trying to take advantage through Farron. Bit of a dribbling clinic.
Again, you'll see Charleston, how deep they are. Final third, not interested in pressurizing until that ball comes near that final third. It means that Loudoun are able just to knock the ball around, just look for opportunities on the fringes.
Garay. Coup de Pietro. Spins out to Mel.
It's become a little bit pedestrian. I mean, there's 20 minutes to go. Both sides need a win. You want to see a bit more energy, a bit more directness, maybe 1 or 2 balls into the box to battle for.
Harmon nearly intercepted that. Downs, dancing, denied by Crawford. And Harmon watches this out, a throw for Charleston.
Looking for a hero for either side at this stage. Certainly you think Bolivar could be that man for Loudoun. I'm just looking to the bench at Zaracostas and thinking, well, that's somebody that now is a good time to throw on, give him just under 20 minutes to try and impact this game.
Back here from DeShields, Meyer. Crossed DeShields up a little bit. Zaracostas had started each of the first 3 games. Next match for Charleston is home to Red Bulls on June the 12th on the weekend. That'll be the 3rd of their 4 meetings this year. The first 2 were draws. Chance to swing this cross through, and Charleston scores in the 73rd minute. Burke Failings first.
That's a wonderful ball into the box. It seemed to come from nowhere there. We just had the ball out wide Charleston Battery. They were looking for an opportunity. What a good whip in. What a good run by Burke Failing to get in at the far post. And a decent finish as well. And we've been waiting for something to happen, for some breakthrough. Zico Lewis, the awareness to actually see Failing at the far post. Have a look. He gets his head up, has a little glance, puts in a lovely left foot pass here. Failing got away from the defenders. You can see the defenders looking at each other, and Coup de Pietro in particular looking around to say, was it my man? Was it your man? Well, in the end, Failing is the man who gets them into the lead.
Time at Memphis and the University of Seattle. Trialed in preseason, signed in February. First of his professional career. And Charleston now will play from ahead, seeking their first win of the season in game number 4. And regardless of the performance itself, I think if you go away to Loudoun on a Tuesday night, 90 degrees earlier, you'd have to argue any 3 points are good.
Absolutely agree with you. I think it's a point we said during the broadcast. This doesn't have to be pretty for Charleston, but it has to be 3 points. You've got to get up that table. What a good finish it was. We haven't seen hardly anything of Zico Lewis. He's such a top-class player.
Failing, trying to get by DeShields, who successfully stiff-armed him away.
I'm just talking about Zico Lewis. Such a good player, and we've seen nothing until that wonderful pass. And if he can just have a bit more of an impact on the game, he alone can turn the game.
That's his 2nd assist of the year. That's as many as he had in 2020 altogether. He scored 6 goals as well.
Those aren't good enough figures for a man of Zico's ability. He should be up there in the double figures if you add goals and assists.
He had 6 goals, 2 assists in total last year. He has a goal and 2 assists now through 4 games.
That's better. 3 impacts on a game in 4 games. Those are the sort of numbers you should be getting from Zico Lewis.
Zico Lewis impressed in New York, came down to Charleston, spent time in the Bermuda national team. Did not receive the call, or perhaps chose not to receive the call during this most recent FIFA window.
Credit also Burke Failing for getting in at that far post, for losing his marker, which he did really well, and for actually finishing it off. It wasn't easy. He had Keegan Meyer in his face, and he had to find a way past the big goalkeeper. Did really well there, Burke Failing.
End of the night for Jacob Green. Tyler Gabera will come on. Jacob Green had some pretty bright moments.
He did. Very quick. First half, I thought he was excellent down that left-hand side. Him and Damrot combined really well, but probably haven't seen enough of him. Maybe it's the heat. Maybe it's not quite fit enough, but the time he was on in the first half, very impressive.
And I don't think I'm going to be speaking out of line to say he was committed to play at the University of Maryland, instead choosing to sign a professional deal. That could be some real rocket fuel for his future. Maryland, a fantastic collegiate program, but the chance to play 30 games in a professional environment with more consistent training in the DC United organization could very well serve Jacob Green quite well.
It's always that difficult balance for those players who come through the university system or have the sort of scores, the SAT scores and what have you, to go on further. Do you take the opportunity and study? Do you try and be a footballer and you're one of, you got a 1 in, what is the current stats? It's something like 1 in a million chance of ever making it to the top levels in Europe. If you're a statistician, the 1 in a million doesn't sound too good.
Sub brought to you by Segra. Gabera on, Green off. Bolivar. Downs tried to sweep through. Better be careful here, DeShields. Meyer. Failing. Coup de Pietro came in from behind. And then like a hurricane whips around.
It's a great effort from Coup de Pietro. They're working all the way back there, tackling, fighting, winning possession, and now trying to get his team on the front foot. That's what you need from players like Coup de Pietro.
Ping diagonal ball. Brought down. Brilliant. Driving in. Cut back ball with a deflection. There's the save. Kuzminski. It appeared Farron was able to redirect that on frame. This will stay in. And a throw for Loudoun.
Kuzminski, vital save there at the near post. It's going to be a busy last 12 minutes, I would think, for the Charleston keeper as Loudoun push forward.
Gabera gets it wide. Farron, bowled over by Kelly. Free kick, Loudoun.
Good play by Farron, just luring them into a tackle there. He gets a free kick in a very dangerous position. This is where Charleston have to be clever not to give away those sort of free kicks, not to lunge in, not to do any pushing or shoving in the box and giving away penalties. They've got the lead, a valuable lead. Now they've got to manage it and secure it as safely as they possibly can.
Barry Sharifi behind the ball. Loudoun debut. Came through the Red Bull system and made the trip down I-95 to Virginia, signing back in February. This might not be the most physically imposing Loudoun team, but a set piece could alter their fortunes here. 10 minutes to go.
They've got a few big players. Look at the size of Damrot, stood there. Behind him, Timmy Mel. I think it's more about the service. Those boys are big enough to get on the end and score. They just need the right service in the box. Referees have this decision almost every set piece. Defenders sort of put their arms out. They don't grab, but you can see they sort of wrap their arms around you, and it's almost like a grab.
Sharifi has that deflect away.
Nobody up there for Charleston. Everybody back defending.
Gabera swings. The feet of Sharifi. Bunting presses. Van Schaik is able to help navigate. Putting forward. Rolled out wide. Downs. Downs down the line. Nice recovery by Gadula. Cameraman almost just earned hazard pay. DeShields is going to come off here. 4th appearance for the number 5 overall pick in the MLS Super Draft. Sub brought to you by Segra.
Well, they had 3 at the back. The assumption is now they're going with 2. Just ask the fullbacks to tuck in a little bit deeper, so it's an almost 4 across the back. And you've got an extra man in midfield pushing forward into attack.
This will roll all the way through. Shuffling feet. Can Loudoun counter? Ahead to Bolivar.
Good defending from Leland Archer, because Bolivar's the threat all the time. You want to stay touch close to him. 2 balls on the pitch.
Come on, big switch. Big switch.
Garay, 8 minutes and stoppage time to go for Loudoun to find an equalizer. Charleston can jump out of the basement and move into 6th place in the Atlantic Division. With a win here, they've got games in hand on everybody. You got to win those, and to do it on the road here at Loudoun after picking up just 1 point from their season opening homestand would be a marked improvement, and certainly leave Charleston with a lot of confidence before they take on Red Bull 2 for the 3rd time this season on the weekend. They have to see it through. Coup de Petro leading Bolivar.
I think you're 100% right there. A win here today, and they will fancy their chances at home to New York Red Bull. And then suddenly they're back up with the others, all scuffling here. If it's not your ball, you've got to put it down. But good time-wasting tactics there from the goal scorer failing.
And he could probably do it again. He didn't even get a yellow card for it. All the way to the end line, slide in from Van Schaik. Clapping Charleston players, but booing Loudoun fans.
Yeah, failing, really getting stuck in there. He's probably thinking, I've scored the winner. Well, I hope I've scored the winner. I'm going to slow it down, do whatever I want, upset them, because I want to be the only goal scorer here today, and I don't blame him. And it's what you do. It's professionalism. You annoy the other side, you slow things down. What you must do, of course, is know how far to push it. You don't want to get a yellow card, and he didn't.
Come on, Jeff, you saw that. Come on. Hey, you ready? Let's go, Loudoun!
Kuzminski trying to work on what would be Charleston's first clean sheet of the year.
Hey, where you guys out wide? Where you at, Koo?
And the problem for Loudoun here is if they lose this, they're bottom of the table. And next up, they're at Tampa, away, where they've won, I think, 4 from 4. So things only go from bad to worse. And you know, for Loudoun after that, Hartford away is tough. Charleston away. In fact, they've got 3 away matches: Tampa, Hartford, and Charleston. Makes it a mountain to climb for Loudoun if they lose this one.
Shuffled down the middle by Bunting. And this flung to the opposite side. Quick shot, Meyer dives down and denies Harmon.
That was a good ball there from Bunting to Harmon. Didn't quite connect with it, but the idea was great. You actually think that a little bit of a moment there. They had a chance there, Charleston, to put this thing to bed, get the second. They didn't take the opportunity. You hope they don't pay the price for it.
That was turned over here, failing now. Can of corn. There's a foul here. Bunting shown yellow. Gary's looking at me for can of corn like, what in the world?
Explain, please.
Grocery store? Top item on the shelf. Knock it down, catch a can of corn.
All right, gotcha. Bunting getting stuck in, fighting for the cause.
If I make cricket references, I'm sure you get it. Baseball,
yep.
no.
Well, yep. I'm learning.
4 minutes and stoppage to go.
I even say pass now, not pass, the English way. It's now a pass. Are you happy with that?
Indeed. Harmon, cutback, Lewis for goal, Garay.
This is good from Charleston. Attacking 1-0 up. You're not trying to defend and get back numbers. Instead, you've got the ball. You've got it in the opponent's half. All the time it's there, they can't score against you. You sort of keep it in that half and keep possession.
Gadula appeared to give it away, and now Bunting is undercut by Mel.
Is it a yellow card for Mel? He knew what he was doing. He had lost possession. Bunting was away. Doesn't look like he's been booked.
Bunting and Kelly right now, the only players on yellow cards. Appears it will stay that way.
Let's have a look at it again. Loses Mel here, just loses it there, puts a foot out. Well, it certainly is a free kick, and I think that's pretty much a yellow, but nonetheless, doesn't really make a difference at the 87th minute. The question is, what can Charleston do with it? That's what Mike Anhauser wants to know.
Crawford likely fancies his chances from here, no? Crawford will go for goal. Courtesy hop from Meyer.
Yeah, the keeper did know it was going over, but yeah, got to make 100% sure.
First game of the championship, you got to be really sure.
Now it's getting to desperation stage for Loudoun. Pretty football isn't required. Balls in the box is what are required.
Farron will reach that left channel. Farron appeal for a handball. Play allowed to continue, and Farron sends this sailing out.
Farron's done so well. He's battled his way through. He's got the breaks. Referee hasn't given anything. He's got two white and red shirts in the middle saying knock it to me. And he tries to sort of thump it into the near post in the top corner. Just thought he had a really good chance there to pick somebody out in the box.
Brilliant coup de Petro. And he runs right by Kelly, too. To the feet of Bolivar. Cuts this back. Coup de Petro to the end line.
Oh. Coup de Petro. What a wonderful run that was from the halfway line. Absolutely brilliant. Deserves something more at the end.
Loudoun Economic Development corner kick, always in your corner. Coup de Petro, header high. Solid from Mel, but couldn't bring it down, put it on target.
I wish you could take that one again, Mel, because he wasn't under too much pressure. Gets a clean header, and it's a good header as well. He's in front of his marker, and he tries to turn. If he just gets it down, it causes the goalkeeper to have to make the save. In the end, it goes over the crossbar. That's what I was saying about balls into the box. They've been very tidy, Loudoun, but not enough balls in there, and yet they have good headers of the ball. Their set pieces have produced very little until that header.
Loudoun will load up again. 5 additional minutes brought to you by Ortho Virginia. They are the official sports medicine partner of Loudoun United. This game has featured a fair amount of blood, a massive amount of sweat, and no tears yet. Charleston with the lead, 4.5 minutes to go. They're looking for their first win of the season. It would take them out of the basement in the Atlantic Division. Another win would put them on the cusp of playoff position at this exceedingly early stage of the year. But it's impossible not to perhaps want to understate at this stage of the season, but it would be simply massive to go get a road win at Loudoun. Slaloming ahead. Gabera. Gabera did swing across. but it is out. If you're Loudoun, if you can steal a point here at the end against the Charleston side most everybody thought would be a playoff caliber team, given the way the night's gone, you'd likely accept that at this point.
Oh, you'd snap their hand off at this point. You've only got 3 minutes left. Ron Martin would love a draw. He might even feel that his team deserve a draw, though I do think Charleston's second half have been the more dominant, created more chances, and his team hasn't. They've struggled to sort of find any opportunities. That one run a few minutes back from Kuda Petra. What a run that was, by the way. Absolutely brilliant. Just couldn't quite finish it off. It would have been goal of the season if he'd have smacked that one into the back of the net. But he hasn't done that often enough for me. You know, he's such a good player, and we haven't seen enough of Kuda Petra.
Ball rolled ahead here for Loudoun as they won it high up the field. Huzo. Farron. Ricochet over. Downs. Kuda Petro. Garay. There is time to get the shot you want. This ball dipping in front. Downs the target. Charleston wheels this back into the Loudoun half.
Yeah, it's just all about knocking time off the clock now for Charleston. They're not even trying to get the ball on the halfway line. Denying them space, trying to intercept the ball, hold on to it as long as you can. For Loudoun, I would think at some point you just want to get that ball into the box. Doesn't matter how.
Slide in there was a clean one, but it is a throw for Loudoun.
Come on, Loudoun! Come on, guys, 2 minutes! 2 minutes!
Mel. Downs. Overlap Kuda Petro. Kuda Petro against Gadula, who went in there. And the referee instantly waves his arms out to his side, says that's not a penalty.
Again, Kuda Petro, so good down that right-hand side. Wish we'd have seen more of him throughout this game. Good defending, by the way, just to put him off balance at the end. Got to be very careful with that sort of defending. You don't give away a penalty.
Make no mistake, penalties have been a bit of a concern for Charleston, haven't they? The penalty they conceded against Red Bull was not a shining defensive moment.
No, it wasn't. It certainly wasn't. And you can't afford to give too many of those away. I think it was Loudoun Archer's mistake to give away that penalty for Egbo to score.
Another minute left here.
I don't want to sound too simplistic. With a minute to go, the only place that ball needs to go is in the box. Doesn't need to go wide, doesn't need little touches. Just need to whip it in and give your strikers something to work for.
Gadula. Zico Lewis. Well, someone's got a stopwatch, and they may be overestimating the amount of time Loudoun has left here. Farron attempted the return. Harmon will see this over the line. Did he touch that before he went over? And more so, is there a card for that late collision? There is. It's going to be Kuda Petro, who's played with a remarkable amount of energy. Harmon remains down, the card brandished.
At least he's getting stuck in. Kuda Petro, he's showing the intention. Everybody else has stood around walking. He's trying to get that ball. Thought it was a little bit shoulder to shoulder there. Nonetheless, he's blown up. Maybe there was a leg connection as well on DC Harmon. He's one of the few players for me who stood out at Loudoun. Kuda Petro, obviously those wonderful runs, but that energy, that commitment. Other than that, the rest of the players have all done okay. I haven't seen enough from Giovanni Bolivar. Previous match, he was brilliant. Very quiet tonight, only played 45 minutes. Garay in midfield, thought he might dominate a bit more. And maybe when that happens, you turn and look at the opposition and say, Charleston Battery, they worked hard. They didn't allow Loudoun to shine in any areas, and they grabbed the goal they needed. So perhaps credit to the Battery for a match well played tonight.
Loudoun's got to go now.
almost what they're saying, what are you doing, man? Well, I'm agreeing. Get the ball in the box. The whistle's about to blow.
Downs floats this forward now dangerously. Header away, and the full-time whistle. Charleston goes away to Loudoun and moves out of the basement in the Atlantic Division. 3 hard-fought points for Mike Anhauser's Charleston Battery, and their first shutout of the season. They did it the hard way, but this Loudoun side takes it all the way down to the wire and come up just short.
Yeah, well done to Kuzminski and the rest of the Charleston Battery side. Had to work hard for this, but what a vital 3 points. And you can see sitting on the ground, the Loudoun United players out on their feet. They've worked really hard. They put in a great shift, but just lacked a little bit of quality in that final third.
Let's take a look at tonight's Segra save of the match. And backing into goal, save for the championship rookie, Meyer.
He had a couple of other crosses to deal with as well. Not much in this game, very quiet game, but everything he had to do, he did well. Had no chance with the goal.
So Failing's first career goal as a professional is a game winner, and Charleston will win this 1-0. Notably, it's a direct flight home. All positive for Charleston. We'll wrap it up when we come back.
In the heart of DC's wine country lies a retreat and conference center like no other, where award-winning chefs create signature dishes using local farms, where the wine is poured just miles from the vines and the beer is brewed right next door, where challenge courses invigorate and meeting rooms inspire, where the welcome starts at check-in and continues throughout your stay. Like Loudoun United, the National Conference Center builds world-class teams in the place we all call home. Saddle up.
This is business today. Fast, unpredictable, always changing. Shifting trends and technologies are pushing aside old rules. The unexpected is the new normal. At Segra, we'll help you navigate a complex future with state-of-the-art voice, internet, and data protection solutions. We know you have dreams, and we see your potential. Segra, freedom to grow.
Mission accomplished for Charleston Battery away to Loudoun United. Loudoun's going to have a difficult road swing coming up. Charleston gets to return home on the weekend. Final score brought to you by Segra. Battery 1, Loudoun 0. With Gary Bailey, Mike Watts. National Conference Center full-time highlights. We're going to start all the way back in the 3rd minute. As far as Charleston's is concerned, this is probably your save of the game.
Yeah, Jacob Green doing so well as he did the entire first half. Kuzminski gets down, gets his body behind the ball. But very impressed with Jacob Green, certainly in the first 45 minutes.
Skip ahead to the 40th minute, and Kuzminski put under pressure again. Then this became the save of the game.
Oh, this is a wonderful strike from Dan Broughton. Again, the keeper swats it away. Lovely little touch from DeShields there. Turns, whack, hits that hard. Keeper makes a really good right-handed save.
As a goalkeeper, this is how you earn your keep. 4th start of the year, and finally a shutout earned by the Charleston Battery, who have such a stingy defense, as they've proven over many years. Charleston getting forward in the second half, trying to find that goal, and it is failing.
Yeah, Zika Lewis with great vision. Some poor defending by Loudoun in that right-back position. They all turned around to see who was marking Failing. No one did, and he puts it in the back of the net.
And here are your full-time statistics. Charleston wins this one, and as you said, it wasn't necessarily pretty. It was better in the second half, however.
Much better in the second half for the Battery. And, 2 shots on target. There was 0 at halftime, if I remember correctly. Possession not brilliant. As you said, didn't have to be pretty. They got the 3 points, but you would expect them to keep on improving throughout the season. For Loudoun, very solid, impressive in parts, but just not enough in that final third.
So Loudoun will be frustrated to come away without a victory. Failing gets his first goal, and that's the only goal they need. For our entire Vista team, led by producer Paul Beam, director Eric Falero, Dustin Curl, Ivan Velasquez, Gary Bailey, Mike Watts, saying thanks for watching and good night.
This copyrighted telecast of the United Soccer League Championship cannot be retransmitted, rebroadcast, or reproduced without the expressed written consent of the United Soccer League Championship.